We have just celebrated Simchat Torah, the end of the yearly Torah reading cycle, and we begin again at the start. This week's portion, Bereshit, marks this new beginning for all of us. It is rich with themes and angles to explore, and this abundance of possibilities makes it difficult to decide what to focus on, just as it goes with most beginnings. It contains the creation story, Adam and Eve, Chava, and their expulsion from the Garden of Eden, and Cain and Abel. It also marks a personal new beginning. Becoming bat mitzvah as a teenager symbolizes the beginning of womanhood. I'm not a teenager. Choosing to go through the journey as an adult can represent a different kind of new beginning. For me, it symbolizes a deepening of my womanhood and commitment to Judaism, guided and represented by Chava's Jewish feminine presence as the foremother. Tomorrow I will read the part where the serpent convinces her and Adam to eat from the forbidden tree of knowledge of good and evil. It has been hard to decide what to bring a voice to and how to choose a main theme in this parasha, especially as a woman. I thought, can the main theme be about gender roles and gender standards and how the portion portrays their blueprint? Could it be about how far our interpretations have gone from the original? And have we really understood what we have been given a blueprint for? Could it be viewing responsibility and accountability as a modern rephrase of the knowledge of good and evil? Because what is good and what is evil when we are unaware of our responsibilities and we are not taking accountability for our actions? I borrowed the lens of my professional experience to look at the text. My day-to-day work involves a lot of understanding of shame and how it stifles our ability to connect to ourselves, to others, and in a more religious and spiritual sense, to God. So I ask, would my voice and understanding be best used to express and amplify the theme of shame in the text? Something I see is often misunderstood, both in our interpretation of ancient texts and philosophy and contemporary existence. Let's stop looking at the story for a moment and think about the context of this parasha in the Jewish year. We've just been through the process of yearly teshuvah, repentance, and a part of the hope is that that process is to better connect ourselves, to connect us to ourselves, to each other, and to God. In Judaism, there's a well-known principle that suggests the ones who transgress aren't tantamount to their transgressions. In Talmud Berachot Tanei, Rabbi Meir, frustrated by the hostility of his neighbors, prayed for their death, thinking he was following the verse in Psalms, "Let the sinners be consumed from the earth." He believed this justified his wish to remove those causing him harm. But his wife, Beruria, corrected him, explaining that the verse actually says, "Let sins be consumed, not sinners." She urged him to pray for their repentance so they could turn away from their wicked behavior. This separation of who we are and what we do is exactly where shame resides. When we cannot see that what we have done isn't who we are, and this is certainly true for Adam and Eve, we sink deep into the pond of shame. Let's come back to the text. After Adam and Eve ate from the forbidden tree, God spoke to both and to the serpent. It is easy to argue that God shames them for what they have done, merging their actions with who they are. After all, this is how they get banished from Eden. However, I want to speculate that they were already feeling shame, represented in the text by their nakedness, and how they felt informed the course of events more than we can see at first glance. What if they took the initiative to own up to what they had done without hiding? What if they had each taken responsibility for their actions and participation in eating from the tree? Would they still have been expelled and cursed to suffer? Of course, we can't possibly know. But maybe they would have been punished temporarily and not pushed away altogether. Rashi's commentary on Genesis 3:9 suggests that God indeed knew where they were and what they had done. And perhaps he questioned them to give them an opportunity. If we think about how we behave when we feel shame in our daily goings, we can hopefully quickly find examples of how that shame impacts our decision-making negatively, and therefore the course of events. We often get angry or hide from responsibility, as they did, and are then met with greater repercussions to our actions. When we are willing to own our part and step forward, wanting to apologize and correct what we have done, the very same events can unfold differently. To further speculate, I think that the parasha teaches us that shame can be useful if we don't dwell in it or hide from it. That it can have a meaningful temporary purpose, and that purpose can be to propel us into maturity. If we look at it developmentally, teenagers experience the most amount of shame in the lead up to becoming fully fledged adults. In this transition and turmoil, they hopefully learn that the productive way to deal with shame, the shame that they are experiencing, is to understand that actions have consequences and take responsibility for their actions. So what I think we can learn from Adam and Eve is that growing up and maturing are about learning to take responsibility for ourselves and own our shortcomings and transgressions so that they don't own us. That when we feel the sting of shame in our hearts, we can clear it by facing it, and that its function is to motivate us to grow. And it doesn't have to lead to banishment from our connection to ourselves, each other, and God. Shabbat Shalom.